Same parents, same house, different experiences, yet you are all the same, raised within the same family. Why is it that you and your siblings see life or see the family setting very differently? That's the conversation that we're about to have in this video. My name is Coach Judy Mzungu Jabali. I am the founder of the Realignment Solution and the author of Power Your Vision. In the last two videos, we talked about, one, where your parents came from and how that affected the family unit. Two, we talked about understanding the dynamics of this family unit and how it is possible for you to break the negative cycle. So today we want to look at why is it that within the same family, two siblings can have very different pictures, or even three siblings can have very different pictures. Now, for purposes of our conversation, remember last time we talked about personality. We talked about your mother came from a different background. She has a different personality, and definitely your father came from a different background and has a different personality. Now, for purposes of my example today, I have come with 4 different pens having different colors. And the reason I'm doing this is because each of us, each person has one predominant personality and another one that is maybe not so predominant, but yeah, it's part of their personality. So this is, for purposes of this example, this is your mother, this is your father. Then you come into this family dynamic. Raised, of course, by parents who, for the most part, didn't understand that there was something wrong within their family unit. So, as far as they are concerned, you know what? They are doing just fine. And their families were, in their minds, perfect. So, because of that, these parents now come and raise you. Remember, this is your mother with these two different temperaments, and this is your father. So, you come into the mix. And you come looking so much like your father in terms of behavior, in terms of temperament. Your mother, who has a different temperament, has a different personality, has no capability. Remember that when you're wounded, you'd never see life holistically. You never see life objectively. As a matter of fact, you're the only one who is right and everyone else is wrong. So within especially the marriage setting, if you're not okay, if you haven't taken your own journey, you'll think there's something wrong with your partner until you realize, no, they're different. They came to complement me with their difference. So you come into that family dynamic where your mother has no understanding. You look exactly like your father. Your temperament is exactly like your father's. And so what happens? Your mother has no capacity to deal with such a child. Another sister comes, and that sister is exactly, or brother is exactly like your mother. What tends to happen within that family dynamic, you who looks like your father will tend to gravitate towards your father. Your brother or sister who looks like your mother begins to gravitate towards your mother. Now, that shows you why within family units, you will tend to find camps that arise within the family. Why? I've given you the 2 ideals where someone picks both. But now again, there is a different scenario where now one child picks a bit from the mother and a bit from the father. And another child picks a bit from the mother and a bit from the father. Whichever is predominant. If the mother's personality is the one that is more predominant, she will tend to have a way to deal with this child because they still, in as much as they look like their father or act like their father, they have more of their mother. And so they gravitate towards the mother. Same it is to this other child who acts like the father. So what happens? They again, predominantly because of being more like the father, they gravitate towards the father. That goes to tell you why we have these differences in the way we see things. That child who gravitated towards the mother will become the mother's favorite. That child who gravitated towards the father will become father's favorite. And that's why when we are thinking about the family dynamics, dysfunctional families, we don't exactly see it the same way. Because some children have been favored within that system. If, as an example, your mother was the aggressive one and the one who is, calling the shots within that family, guess what? The children who look like her and who she favored, we basically have a better time within that family setting. If your father is the passive one in that family setting, in as much as yes, you are his favorite, but you will find that because within the politics of the family, you are not favored by the aggressive parent, you will tend to suffer. Now that is what happens in most of our scenarios. How then do you arise or come out? First, it's important for you to have this understanding that actually there is no problem with your siblings. Some siblings were favored by the system within that family. Some siblings were disfavored by the system within that family. But then, is it possible for you to be able to heal and rise from that situation? Of course. It begins with you having understanding that, you know what? This is how our family looked. This is how it favored some of us. And this is the reason it didn't favor me. And the reason it didn't favor me is not because my mother is bad. It didn't favor me because my mother was wounded. When a person is wounded, they have no capacity to see the strengths of even their spouse. Because ideally, people marry different. When you marry a person who is different from you, opposite from you, and you appreciate their strengths, you will be able to celebrate them and celebrate the children who look like them. But if you didn't have that capacity because you are healed, you will tend to antagonize the children who looked like your spouse. This conversation is a healing conversation. It's a conversation that by the grace of God will bring us understanding about where we came from. And by the reason of having that understanding, one, we will empathize with our parents. But secondly, that we will begin then to empathize with our siblings who are different from us. Judy, how do you know it's possible to heal? Because I was exactly in the same situation. We are 4 of us within the same family. 2 of us are more aggressive because my mother was more aggressive. And 2 of us are more passive because my father was passive. Growing up in our formative years, my mother preferred us because she said, you're chap, you look like our family. But now, later on in life, remember, we became more independent-minded. So we didn't become her favorite. The situation changed. Why? Because we were not the people who would say yes, even when we want to say no. How did that affect our own family dynamic? We discovered that the 2 of us who are more aggressive became closer, and the 2 others became closer. In later years, actually, we really developed a rift within our family that by the grace of God has been healed. In my next video, I will be talking about healing and overcoming the dysfunction within families so that we can unite and become what God designed for us to be. See you on the next edition.